Welcome back to One Non Blonde. And I am so excited today because I have my new BFF, Karen Page, here today. Karen is a well renowned psychic and just an all around great, wonderful woman. So thank you for being here today, Karen. I appreciate it.
So my pleasure. We're gonna have a blast. This will be so much fun.
I know we have to kind of keep track of time.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
So just a little background on Karen and I. We met through a mutual friend, Andre, who, yeah, as you know, is
It's
one of
amazing.
my, I mean, he's amazing. I just love doing the shows with him. But first time we talked on the phone, my husband was like, who are you talking to? Because it was just like, it wasn't like, hello, my name's Kim. And we just like, boom,
It's like, oh, there
immediately.
you are.
Yeah. And we were just talking about our childhoods and our friendship, and it was like we were having conversations like we've been like, oh, remember last week when we went to the movies together? I was like, we
Honest,
never did.
that we didn't. Now you
Yeah.
tell me.
Now I'm telling you. But it was like, I'm like, were you in my room when I said that?
Isn't that funny? It feels like we've known each other all our lives and we grew up together. It's the funniest thing. I was telling Andre, it's so amazing. I said, you meet people that you like, but it's a different kind of connection. And this is like, oh, there you are. It was like that when I met Andre, the
Yeah.
same way.
I felt the same way
It,
about Andre too. Yeah. But
and it
you?
feels like, but that's God's hands
Oh,
bringing us together, all of us.
yes, I agree. Speaking of God, and I know that
Yes.
yes, it's a very important subject, a very important part of our lives, and I think that's another reason why we're connected.
Absolutely.
But you're a psychic, and so I
Yes,
know a
ma'am.
lot of times that people will say, "Oh, well, if you go to a psychic, you're trying to take away God out of an equation, like you're trying to like find a fortune teller, or it's not of God, it's of the other art, if you know what I'm
Well,
saying."
I have to say something.
And that's why I
Okay.
want to talk to you about this.
Yeah. Not to offend gypsies on the pier, but there are the gypsies on the pier that tell you they can change your life if you buy a $350 candle with magic oil on it. Okay. I'm not that person. Okay. I believe I believe that, well, first of all, I wanted to be a lawyer to put the bad guys away when I was a little girl. Okay. And from the time I was about 3 years old, my mother always said to me, baby girl, always remember man plans and God unplans. And I am so grateful that God unplanned my life and gave me this extraordinary gift, entrusts me with this extraordinary gift. And I have gotten to truly live the part of my dream of putting bad guys away by working on serial murder cases and missing children cases all over the world. And it is something that is, I know that every time someone says to me, so are you going to ever retire? And I look at them and go, that word's not even in my vocabulary. I said, I'll do this work as long as God wants me to, or if all of a sudden God wants me to go work at Walmart or Target or something. I mean, if he wants me to do something else. But this was not something that I looked for. And anybody that says they're a psychic that does not understand that they just work here and that it is a gift from God and they think they're doing something, I'm just a conduit for the information that God wants me to share with people. And I always make sure, which I've heard is a very weird thing over the years, I've always asked and made sure that my clients record their readings because I don't want them to, I read in a lot of detail and I don't want them to think I said this when I said that, you know? And it is, anyone that says to you it's the dark whatever, I understand what they're talking about. They're talking about something that a true psychic really has nothing to do with. one of the practices, dark practices, like, excuse me, voodoo or Santeria. Those things have nothing to do with God. I don't do that. I'm just a little kid from LA. It's like, sorry, my mom grew up in Brooklyn. What do I know?
Which I think is important, because I think sometimes people like confuse what like a psychic, a fortune teller, and also what a psychic does for them.
Well, first of all, I'm not a fortune teller.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
And if I told you this before, when I was a little girl, one of our neighbors came over and said they wanted to ask me something. And my mom looked at them and said, if you don't want the truth, don't ask Karen, because she won't make something up. And I absolutely will not. And I have a lot of the same clients for over 40 years now, because I've been doing this work since I'm 10 and a half. I freaked myself out when I saw that I filed my first Social Security payment, my taxes, when I was 11.
Wow.
Thank you. That's what I said. How is that possible? I was like, what planet am I on?
How did you know that you were gifted? Because it obviously is a gift. It's not like,
Oh, absolutely. It's a gift. Well, first of all, my mother was very psychic, but in those days when she was growing up, this was definitely not a career choice. Okay. And my mother's three closest friends, Carmen, Rachel, and my Aunt Dorothy, they were all readers. But my Aunt Dorothy started the first metaphysical center in Southern California. And Rachel read regular playing cards, and Carmen did another version of reading. My sister was also very psychic, but unfortunately all she saw were the negative things. She didn't see solutions, And I thought I was you'll laugh when I say this, I thought I was the only normal one in the family,
I get it.
That I thought I was the only one, wasn't psychic, and I was going to be a lawyer and blah, 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 blah. God had another plan, and it happened in a way that was so organic. It's like I would just say things. It would just like pop out of my mouth. There's a story in my book that when I was looking out the window across the street at our neighbor's house when I was a little girl, and I said to my mother, Mommy, do you know Mr., and I'm not going to say his name, beats his wife? And she ran over to me and she said, that's a terrible thing to say, sweetheart. I said, but it's true, Mommy. And it was 2 or 3 weeks later, there were 2 police cars and an ambulance across the street, and he was being led out of the house in handcuffs and put into one of the cars. The 2 kids were being put into one of the other police cars, and the mother was his wife was being taken out in an ambulance. And it was like, okay. And we had a neighbor up the street that my mom used to feed every day. He was a wino, God bless him. And he lived in a back house on his sister's property. And all of a sudden one day he didn't come for lunch. And my mom said, that's weird. I wonder where Charlie is. And I said, he died, Mommy. And she said, honey, don't say that. And I said, he did. He died last night. My mom ran over to his sister's house and knocked on the door. And sure enough, he had died the night before. And I was like 6, 7 years old. And it would just literally fall out of my mouth. It made me wildly popular in school.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like parlor games. I was like, well, let's pick her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was it.
Yeah. So we have that in common, because even though mine wasn't the psychic, I was the little chubby fat girl, short.
And I was the tall Amazon girl.
So that's why we were like buddies.
And you shouldn't know.
Nobody nobody would pick me. I would always be last. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll pick him.
We were on the same committee.
Yeah.
Hi, sis.
Yeah, I know. I love you. I know we get so much, but so I know because it's got to be like, did you like when you were a kid and you really didn't realize what this gift was yet? Did you say things to your friends that kind of like what they like kind of go, whoa, that's weird, you know?
Oh yeah, that's why I was joking. I mean, I'm tall. I'm 5'9.5". I was this size in elementary school. Okay. I was also, which is hard to believe right now, but I was excruciatingly shy and I had a terrible stutter. Oh, and I was the crazy weird girl that just knew stuff she shouldn't know, you know? And I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to say those things. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to know those. So I would just say them.
Yeah.
Yeah, to say it didn't make me popular would be the understatement. I am deeply respectful of people's privacy. And all the stories in my book, they are all true stories. I just changed the names. And it was so funny because the editor called me up and told me he wanted me to name my clients. And I said, oh, you want me to name my clients? He said, well, yeah. And I said, that day's never going to come. He said, why? And I said, why do you think they come to me for over 40 years? I respect their privacy. I protect their privacy.
Of course.
I said, are you kidding me? I said, I'll tell you a story about what happened with them, but you will never know who they are.
Which is the most important part. And I'm sure you already,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure you asked permission before you put it in the book because they knew it was anonymity too, right?
Oh, they know I would never,
Yeah.
ever. It's the interesting thing is the book is about lessons that I learned from readings I did over the years, and which is so astounding to me because I always like the readers that walk into a room and it's like, hello, I am Madame Zaza, you know, and they come in with a turban and a cape, and it's like, what are you doing? It is the last thing on the planet most people would think I do.
Yeah. No,
And
I
that's
agree.
just fine with me. It's kind of like, we have a secret.
I know. I know. It's like, so like I know that you and I talked, and there was like a couple times when we were talking, and you literally pulled almost like a conversation I had before, or a conversation somebody else had that I kind of, and I'm like in awe of that. So I know that it's genuine and it's real, and obviously you've been around a long time. Do you like sometimes find yourself like, I don't know. I mean, this is just a curiosity because I mean, I'm just trying to like think of an average person would ask. Do you find yourself like when you're walking down the street, do you like, sometimes do you like, how does that work? How does your,
You'll love this. When I was, when my mother was still alive, I would go to the grocery store with her all the time. Was literally like a massive wave would roll over me when I would be pushing the cart down the aisle. It got to the point where I had to stop going shopping. So I would sit out in the car, you know, because it was ridiculous. I can't go anywhere without seeing things about people, but I don't walk up to them. Only one time ever in my life have I ever walked up to anybody and said what I see out of the dear blue. Okay. I was in the market with my mother, and there was a lady with her daughter. And I walked up to her and I said, hi. I said, you don't know me. I said, but I want you, I know you'll think I'm crazy. I said, but you need to have your left front tire checked before you get on the freeway. I said, it's very dangerous and something is wrong with your tire, and you won't get home if you don't do this. She said, who are you? I said, I'm a psychic, but I'm not soliciting business from you, ma'am. I said, please, I beg of you. She said, do you have a card? And I gave her my card and I said, just please, there's a gas station right across the street. Please do not get on the freeway before doing this. So fast forward, several hours later, the phone rings and it is the woman from the grocery store. She said, I don't know who you are and I don't know why you spoke to me today, but God bless you because you saved me and my daughter's life. She said, I thought you were ridiculous. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go and have it checked and prove myself right. And that she's crazy. The guy at the gas station put the car on a lift and looked at the tires, and the left front tire, he looked at me and said, this is what she's telling me. He looked at me and he said, ma'am, it's a good thing you didn't get on a freeway or anything like this. He said, because this tire would have blown and your car would have, you didn't probably never survived it. And she told me they were living like 20 miles or 25 miles north. And she said, I want to thank you for saving our life. And I said, God bless you. I said, thank you for going to check. So I don't walk up to people and just blurt stuff out anymore. I'm very respectful of people's privacy.
But when you
and
feel like,
it's
yeah.
But when I feel like I have to for their health or their safety, you bet.
Because I think that's God.
That's absolutely.
God. That's definitely God. Yeah.
I'm just the conduit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a friend, a guy that I thought he was like my brother. And for a year, I had been begging him to go to get a checkup and to have his heart checked. And to the point where he was going to tell me to go jump in a lake or something. I mean, he said, would you stop? I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Well, P.S., that went on for almost a year. And one night at 1:30 in the morning, my phone rings and it's him. He's having a heart attack. What do you say to somebody that just doesn't? I don't have an agenda. I want people to be happy and healthy and all that stuff. Not because of me, but because why would you not do that? It's not something I'm going, oh, if I tell them, it's like, seriously? I've said things to people that make me laugh out loud and they wind up being true.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it astounding. The day that I'm not in awe of my gift is the day I hope God throws dirt on me.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I know that, yeah, you're not doing, like I said, you're not doing this for accolades. You're doing this to help people.
Oh God. No. Yep. It's all, that's what isn't that the point here?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what we're all supposed to be doing here? Do something to help people. Anything. It's and people, I've always thought ever since I was a little girl, when I realized what this gift was, everybody is psychic. Some people are this psychic, okay, and some people are psychic 100 yards.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it wasn't what I planned, but I'm so grateful God unplanned my life. I've worked on some crazy serial murder cases that just I was chased home on the freeway by the Hillside Stranglers.
Wow.
After I had worked on their case and described them to the police and where they lived and what kind of, it's like, God have mercy. They chased me home.
Yes. Wow. But you did it, yeah, not for yourself. You did it to try to save
No.
lives. You're saving lives. You're saving lives.
Yeah. And the police, I'll tell you a funny story. I worked on a case in Houston, Texas. When 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 I landed in Houston, it was comical. It's like, where am I? You know? So I worked on this case, right, called the Houston Slasher. And the police came to me, and I felt like I had stepped into the Big Belly Sheriff commercial, where they came to my apartment in Houston, because I was living in Houston for a minute, but I always kept a place in LA because that's where I'm from. And this detective walks in with 6 or 7 cops behind him with hip to ceiling files and boxes of things. And I looked at him and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, you told me you wanted pictures." I went, "Yeah, what? I don't need all this." And he said, "Well, let me put the pictures out." He lays pictures of the crime scenes covering my table. I thought I was going to faint. I said to him, "Get those out of my face. I want a picture." He said, "You said you wanted pictures." I said, "I wanted pictures of the women when they were girls holding their puppy."
Yeah.
You understand? I don't want this. I don't need to see this. He said, "Oh, I don't understand." I said, "I don't expect you to right now." I said, "But you will." And of course, they picked up exactly the guy that I told him. Where he lived, he had buried a head under his mother's porch. It's like, what kind of a lunatic? I get no pleasure out of this. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
This is to make your job easier. And it's like some of the cases, the hardest ones are missing children, because a lot of them don't have happy endings.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of them don't have happy endings. And there is nothing worse than having to tell a parent their child is never coming home. And I have never charged a dime for a missing child case or a murder case, ever. That's my agreement with God. I don't want to make a living doing that.
Well, you're putting away the bad guys. You're helping
Yes,
people, and that's what you wanted to do.
that's
See,
exactly right.
so God listened, and that was my
Always.
next always. But that was my next question. Like, okay, so like a typical client would call or want to be a part of this. I know that we're in a very instance, like, oh, I started my diet today. I should be 20 pounds lighter. Oh, you know what I'm saying? We're always looking for that instant answer. That's not what you're doing. And I want
No,
people to understand what you're doing and how somebody would benefit to have somebody who's like you, a psychic in their life.
that's very kind of you. Well, what I do business consults on a business reading includes business and personal. Okay. And if somebody is going through an issue or setting up a new business, we talk about that. I do not ask a lot of questions. I have I don't need to ask. I tell people that, and I have clients that they used to come and see me all the time. But now, of course, because of obvious reasons, and a lot of them are all over the world, they can't come and sit across the table from me. So we do it either by Zoom or we do it on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them to email me, which is hilarious to me. Email me a picture of themselves. I don't need a picture of them when they were, I just need a picture of them. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if there are pictures of anybody else they want to know about. And I do the reading. I don't ask questions. And if I have not covered what they wanted to know, they have plenty of time to ask me whatever it is. Then personal readings, I've predicted marriages and babies and I've said to couples that have come for readings, please tell me you guys aren't married. And they look at me and go, what do you mean? I go, I never saw two people bring out the worst in each other like you do.
Again, don't be afraid of the truth.
Yep. You know what? The truth has always been my friend.
My motto has always been, and of course I'm just borrowing it, the truth will set you free, which we know that comes from God. So that's what I always tell myself. I was like, the truth will set me free. The truth sets people free.
Yes, it does. And it may not always be what we want to hear, but the truth only has one story. I don't have to have a good, it's funny. I've been asked many times over the years, what do I regret? Kim, I don't have a single regret in my life. I don't wish that I had said this or that. I don't wish I had done this or that. I don't wish I had, do you know what I mean?
I agree.
It's like the woulda, coulda, shoulda. I don't have to look over my shoulder saying, oh, why did I say that? Or did I? God knows my intentions with people. And I have a clean conscience, a clean heart, and clean hands. I can tell people what I see. I can't force them to do it. And so there's man's time and God's time. And sometimes my timing is not perfect. I can't control that. People have to learn what they learn, and then those things happen. And sometimes it's about, I always say, taking out the trash or letting people leave their lives. And sometimes that's really complicated because they're very set about how they want things to be done, you know? And, you know, you want to hear God laugh, tell them what you want. You know, it's like I think this is just the Karen Page theory. We come in here, it's like this is a big classroom. And we are all here. God sends us in here, our souls, with a list of things, lessons that we have to learn. And God help us, you know. He gives us plenty of opportunities to learn those lessons. And if we don't, we'll keep coming back here again until we do, you know. And I'm not talking about I'm going to be reincarnated as, you know, the Countess or I mean, so I don't mean that stuff. I'm talking about real life, you know. And when I have one time, I had cancer 6 times, 5 times in my 20s.
Wow.
Okay. And then the last time, many years later. And the first time I went home, I was 20 years old, and I went home and I was sobbing. And my mother said, why are you crying, sweetheart? I said, I have cancer, Mommy. She said, but why are you crying? I said, why me? She said, why not you? God must know you can handle it. I never asked why me again, ever in my life. And here I am, healthier now than when I was 25. And I get the lesson. Okay. I wouldn't trade a minute of it. And are they easy lessons? No. But hey, we're still here.
Yeah, and we're still learning, and we're still growing.
Every day of my life, I want to learn at least one new thing.
Yeah, my son Zach and I were just talking about that
Where
today.
is that guy?
I'm gonna actually tell him to come in here for a second. I'm gonna text him real quick, but because he's in the other room watching my dog. So one of the things about that we were talking about though is my grandfather who came from Italy, and when he came and he taught himself how to speak English, and even before up until he died, every day he would pull up the Webster's dictionary, find a random word and learn the definition, and then have to use it in a sentence.
I love it.
And he always told me, he's like, every day you learn something new, because guess what? Whatever you learn, no one can take away from you.
Oh God, I would have hugged your grandfather.
Oh yeah, he was great.
His heart. Yep. God bless him. every single day.
Yeah, he's just amazing.
He's so funny. I hear him saying, I didn't go anywhere.
I know. We were just talking about he was just like he was a jokester. That's where I get like my
He
joking.
was a character and
He
a
was.
half, honey.
I
And you know
know.
what? Yeah, what's so funny? He was one of those guys that was little, but oh my, and
Yep.
was like a bulldozer. Nothing stopped him from moving forward.
Yep.
He had a spirit that was unbelievable. The magic words for him were, yeah, tell me I can't do something. Watch this.
Yep. That was my
Nothing.
grandfather.
Wow. He was fierce.
Yeah, I mean, he came over here in like 1917, and he became a barber. He built his own home. He built
You bet he did.
he
That
bought
was
he
so
built my
funny.
aunt's home.
Yep.
Everybody's home.
But he knew what he was going to do,
Yeah.
and nothing was going to stop him. And when I said to you, I don't have a single regret, and if I left tomorrow, I haven't missed a thing. Your grandfather was that way. He didn't miss a thing. He knew what love was. He knew when it was time to let somebody leave his life. And he was hilarious. He's the guy that which part of no didn't you understand?
Yep.
Yes. And it's like, we were all only kidding, because he said things, there was no ambiguity to him. His intentions were crystal clear. And he didn't have a single complaint when he left. I hear him saying, yeah, I was kind of done with that body. It was like, but it served him well in his time. And he had a ball here.
Oh, he was always laughing.
Oh my God. He got the silliness of us human creatures. It's like, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
We're only here for a minute,
And my grandmother would always yell at him. And my grandmother would always yell at him because
and he would mimic her.
Yes.
I can see him doing it.
He would
go.
Yeah, that was him. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
He was so funny. And he'd stand behind her.
I'm telling you, I could see him mimicking her.
Yeah,
but if he loved her anymore, she would have been triplets.
I know, exactly. That was a love story. Let me tell you, it was a love story.
Yes, it was.
And she would threaten
didn't go
him.
anywhere either. Nope. He's hanging out.
Yeah, I believe it. She would threaten him with the wooden spoon,
and he would go, "Bring it on."
Yeah, that's like, yeah. Then he'd start dancing with her and singing.
Of course. It's like, why are you so upset? Put the spoon down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We had a lot of fun. We did.
We are so blessed.
We are. I am just like, there's so many questions I want to ask you, and there's so many things that we can dive into. So I definitely want to make this a series, if you don't mind. I know you're a very busy person. Because here's the thing with Karen. Karen she's being very humble about who she is, because you are very well renowned. I mean, you've got clients all over this world. You've had some very important clients, which maybe we can dive into some of that. Everybody's important, yes, but your time wise, you are always busy, as I guess I should say. We're all important and we all deserve just dignity and respect. But as far as time wise goes, you are very much in demand. So for you to take time out of your schedule to spend time with us is very much, it's humbling to me, because
you're so sweet.
Because no, really do. I feel very blessed, because I'm just starting out here, and you're my cheerleader.
You're rocking, girl.
And I just am in awe of you. Because really you speak the truth, and I love that. And I love people who speak.
You don't need a good memory. Come on, Zach.
Where is
Stop
he at?
hiding out.
I know, where is he at? He didn't come in yet. I don't know where he's at. I don't know if you hear. I keep thinking I hear him coming in, but I guess he's not yet. He might be on the phone with one of his friends. But before we, even if we end the Zoom
Yeah, of
call,
course.
we'll talk
Yeah.
and we'll meet him afterwards. But the thing is for you and I to dive into more about what it is to, how people can use a psychic in their
Oh,
life, and then
absolutely.
also how they can find a phony so that they're not getting taken advantage
Oh,
of.
yeah, absolutely.
So I definitely want to have that one of the things we talk about next time, because I think a lot of
Definitely.
times people are so desperate for answers that they will hear something in the wrong places. And I
That's
really want to.
interesting. I had a call like that from a client yesterday from Canada
Mm-hmm.
that somebody she knows that's a card reader. And you have to understand, I don't care what the tool is that somebody uses to get to the real information, the true information for a person. But when they start using it as a power trip, it drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's all about money, it drives me crazy. Okay. And her her dad just passed away. And this woman, he had remarried, and she had a stepmom who was just an incredibly lovely woman. And this card reader she went to, told her, talk about stirring up a lie, that there was something she was supposed to have that the stepmother didn't tell her about and wouldn't give her. And I went, that's an absolute lie. That's not true. I said, that doesn't even remotely feel right. And she was very close to her father, but this whole stirring up of making division,
That's not
trying to
right.
drive a wedge, but no. And so, yeah, people that make things up drive me crazy.
Yeah. So because I think a lot of people do find themselves in a trap of listening to the wrong person.
It definitely happens.
Because you're not the only psychic in town, which
Oh God,
obviously,
no.
but we also need to kind of decipher and discern who is and how do we use this.
Learn what's live and what's Memorex.
Yes. So we're going to definitely do that. So if you don't mind, we'll dive into that the next time.
My pleasure.
And I just, like I said, you have so many great stories. And when I'm saying this, it's just totally genuine. Karen, thank you. I'm so glad. I know we've only known each other for, gosh, it's not even been a month. And every time we talk, that's it. I know.
You mean in this life?
In this, yeah, I know.
Okay.
Because
Just
I'm
checking.
like, yeah, I know. Because it's like we are like, I don't know, we could be like attached at the hip. I mean, so much in common.
Kindred spirits.
And we laugh at each other's jokes we didn't even know about. That's the funny part. I know.
Yeah, it is funny, but it doesn't happen like that.
No.
Often, we meet people all the time, and when you meet somebody that you have that powerful connection with, like you and I do, and Andre, it's kind of like, hello, thank you, God.
I know. This is like a God moment. I'm telling you, because it's just been, it's like, it's my little rebirth. Like I've always, when I think about like times, like there's desert times, and and so this came as very biblical. I know people are like, okay, but it was during Lent that I met Andre. I met Andre during Lent. And then I talked to you for the first time right at the end of Lent, going into Holy Week. Remember, we talked about that.
Yes, I do remember that.
And we actually had like almost an hour conversation about Holy Week, and
that was right after hello.
Yeah, I know. And so, but that's what it's all about. It's like I was in my desert time because, Jesus was in the desert for 40 days. I was in my desert time. I was going through a little bit of a emotional, deciding what I wanted to do. And out of the ashes, out of the desert, you bloom.
Andre.
Andre, and then Andre introduced me to you. So it's been it's like a blossoming. And so
Yeah.
look at
Well,
here.
part of it is also, do you remember I said to you, people go through things until they need to be ready
Yeah.
for change. And there's a big difference between what people say they want and what they really want. In the words of that great sage, George Carlin,
Yeah.
you gotta wanna,
Gotta wanna, yeah.
Yeah, but really your intention in your heart, in your soul, needs to match the words. Andre helps people get to that place,
He does.
and you finally are giving yourself permission to do what you love and to step into it and go, gee, I'm actually having fun. I think I really do want to do this. It's like you're not fighting yourself anymore,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been, yes, you have a lot going on, but hi, welcome home.
And I'm so excited because like I said, I've been very blessed in my life that, every chapter, every page, I can't even say page, every page has been enriched by so many people because I feed off people. And
Absolutely.
and so to have these moments that are like elevated, it really just it brings it home and it makes me I'm like I'm elated, and it makes me feel comfort.
You know what? It's like the I got it moment, and God brings all those people and experiences and opportunities that people walk past every day and ignore into our lives for us to learn from.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful to see you. And I know it's a big step to commit to do the series with Andre and the one with me. And it's a big deal to do a podcast all the time. But it's like living your dream, girl.
I am.
And
I didn't even,
it's time.
it is time.
And
It
you're
is time.
giving yourself permission to do it now.
I think that's some of the things that I know that Andre and I are working on. And I know we can work on it with you as well.
He'll help get you there.
But I'm talking about other people too, to give themselves permission to find that, because it's like, I think, I'll tell you a funny story real quick, because I've always been in the practical world, like I always felt like I had to be a practical person. I had to be on top of everything, like I'm the fixer. I've always been the fixer.
Right.
And so I was in class one time, and we were talking about the cave drawings. And so no, you're talking. I went back to school when I was older, so I wasn't like a kid. And so we were talking about the pre-Columbia, the cave drawings. And so the professor says something about, well, what do you think about, about the cave drawings? And I said, I'm thinking their mom or dad was probably going, why are you wasting your time drawing on the wall when you need to go out and kill the dinosaur? And she's looking at me like, what is wrong with you, lady? I'm like, that's
my favorite is, didn't you want to say to her, then why are you asking me what I think?
Yeah, exactly.
If you really don't want to know.
I know. I was just like, I would think it's not being practical. I mean, my mom would be like, why are you drawing on the wall when we need to go eat? So I'm thinking they're the slackers of the community. People are like, oh, why is the slacker getting the most popularity now? We were the hunters.
Well, and that's their journey.
Yeah. So I'm learning to be the cave drawing.
We're just going to be doing some cave drawing here.
I've always been the creative person in my family, but I didn't hone in on it because I had to be a worker bee. Not that this isn't a job and it's not working, but I felt like I have to be, and so now I'm giving myself permission to be the cave drawer.
And to do what, but the cave drawing speaks to your soul.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like, are you kidding? And not only that, but I think this finally, thank God, we're all coming into a time where people are more open-minded, and I think they will be more welcoming to cave drawings.
Yes.
You know?
I agree. I think especially after all that we went through, I think this is really
I do too.
I do. And I'm not gonna dwell on my age, even though it's my birthday weekend.
Only a number, because the truth is, it's what's between our ears.
Oh, I know. And that's why I try to keep myself alive and keep myself young.
Still 35.
Pardon me?
I mean, I think I'm still 35, maybe 34.
Yeah, I'm remembering too, because like I said, my birthday weekend's
There you
coming up.
go. I mean,
Yeah. I know.
so Zach doesn't want to talk to me, huh?
No, I'm gonna actually we're gonna get off the podcast, and I'm gonna keep you on for a few minutes if you're okay, and I'll go grab them.
Of course.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah. So we will be back next week, and we will continue, and y'all will be like, what's going on with these two people? But that's okay, because we're gonna have a great time, and we're gonna teach you something about cave drawing.
And people should ask questions. They should send you questions.
Yes,
You know,
most definitely.
if things they want to know, about the work.
Yes.
It's because I think when people learn the difference, I love the idea of educating people.
Oh, me too.
And teaching them who's the gypsy on the pier and what's real. I think that's so important.
Yeah, I agree. And I want people to realize that you're doing God's work. It's and that's a key thing to do.
I'm very clear about that.
And I want people to be clear that we're clear on this, because we're doing God's mission. It's all about God.
If God wants me to have a job at Home Depot tomorrow, I'm there.
Exactly.
It's like,
every morning, I don't know about you, but every morning I'm like, I just like, oh God, plant me where you need me and let me bloom, and that's what you have to do.
Always, always, always. It's every time I see somebody whose ego is driving the bus, it makes me laugh. And it's like, God, and when somebody says it's not going to happen like that, I always say, did you just hear God laugh?
Well, I will tell you, and this is, so my mom, before my mom died, I was taking care of her. I took a year off, doing working and anything. I just stayed home with her. And so I was blessed.
That was way more important, honey, than a job.
Of course. And that's it. I was blessed that I was able to do it. And so my mom was like, that's her, I would get into it, but it was like because we're both stubborn type of people. But one of the things, like, I remember, I'll never forget, she gave, because my mom was blind, and my mom was blind, and so my mom really didn't give, how can I say, she didn't want to give eye contact, obviously, because there was no eye contact in the sense because she was blind. But every once in a while, when I did something that would really hit a nerve, she would give me eye contact.
I mean, she turned into I'm going to turn you to a pillar of salt look.
Yeah, and it was eye contact. So I will never forget. It was like less than 4 days before she died, 4 or 5 days. And she was in an assisted living facility for a while for rehab. And they were going to let her go. We were trying to do this, the review, to see if she can come home. And so at the point, she was very independent. My mom was a very independent person. And
no.
Yeah. And but she was towards the end, she was using a walker because they were telling her because of her balance, and she would run into the flipping walls and everything like that. But she hated using the walker. And so I'll never forget.
She hated being dependent on anything.
I know. Yes, you and I will be having talks about my mom, because I'm sure you see my mom a lot.
Oh yeah.
So one of the things that we were talking to the physical therapist, and I said, so she thought I was asking if she should stay in the ALF longer because she was still in the walker. So I said to the physical therapist, I said, do you think my mom will ever come off the walker? She shot me this look. I mean, eye contact, like, what are you doing? You're throwing me in here longer. I'm like, no, Mom, that's not what I'm trying to do. I know that you don't want to be on this walker. I know in my heart that this is really killing you, that you're on this walker. I'm just trying to see if we can move towards you being off of it. So, long story short, fast forward, like I said, this was like about 4 days before she passed away. She came home because that was like her exiting interview.
Honey, she came home to be able to go home.
Yes.
Really go home.
Yes. And so she came home to the house because she was living with us after my dad died.
Right.
And her last day is my son Zach, which I'm gonna, he called it her kick-ass day.
Absolutely.
So my mom and Zach, every morning they would start every morning with, he would make their breakfast and coffee, and then he would read to her. And then so she had that, and then she talked on the phone with everybody, and she was talking. She had a doctor's appointment that afternoon, and I had just started going back to work. I had literally got a job less than a month before my mom passed away, because I decided, I was like, and when I got the job at the church I'm working at currently, the priest that I was working for at the time, he said to me, because I told him, I said, because I kind of met him at a party, like it was a social thing, and we just started talking, and we hit it off, and he's like, Troy was like offering me a job, and I said, oh, I'll send you my resume, and I never did. And then one day I just got a phone call. He goes, you never sent me your resume. I'm like, how did you find me? Because I had my way. Yeah, he was determined. So when I interviewed with him for the job, I said, well, I don't know because my mom is sick. He goes, and I'll never forget, he said to me, he goes, your mama needs you, because he's from Kenya. He goes, your mama needs you. And he says, but I need you here at the church too. He says, the church needs you. He says, so we'll make it work. And he did, so I was, so I took my mom to the doctor that day, and as we were walking out the door, she's got her walker, and she's, going floored, plowing through. I said to her, we got out to the car, or out to the porch. I said, Mom, do you need the walker, or can I just, you could, because she always used my shoulder.
Of course.
To walk. I said, can you just grab onto my shoulder and I'll hold on to you and we can walk to the car? And she did. I want to cry. She did. And so I wanted to make sure she didn't have the walker, and she did. And then so back to God's moment, my daughter, my youngest, and I, we had Ed Sheeran concert tickets that night.
Oh, wow.
And so as I was leaving, I said to her, because my mom would not go to bed until I was home, or my sister was home. So she always made sure my sister and I both were home. She always made sure. So I said to her, Mom, don't wait up late, because I'm going to probably be late. I love you. I'll see you when I get home. And she goes, okay, no problem. And John and Josh, my husband and Josh, they made her salmon for dinner. And she was on the phone for a little bit, and then they were watching TV, and she literally had a stroke on the chair. They didn't realize she had a stroke. They thought she was sleeping. And when they tried to wake her up, she was
gone.
Yeah. And but I remember
saying, want to make a big fuss out of it.
But I remember always saying, not on my watch. Not on my watch.
That's why you were not home.
Yeah.
When she left, she didn't want you to see her leave.
Yeah, well, they kept her until I got to the hospital, but she was already brain dead at that point.
She was gone, honey.
Yeah, I know. I said
that was just the mechanics.
Yeah,
still working till the battery went out.
Yeah, but you're making me cry. But no, it was a good thing, because
honey, rest your heart. Now she doesn't need a passport. She doesn't need a walker.
Yeah,
she can visit all the time. I mean, she was crystal clear. When I said to you, you have these 4 angels around you, she's crystal clear. She didn't go anywhere.
Oh, I know. Now she can see me. Because she never got to see me. I mean, never. Because she was blind since she was like 7. So
yeah, but she knew how beautiful you were.
Thank you. She always used to say that. I said, oh, Mom, I said, people tell you that because they feel sorry for you.
No. Stop it. Whoever's voice that is in your head, you need to evict them.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I'm just so thrilled to be with you and this opportunity. So we will be doing a lot of this. So
it's a deal, girl.
And if you guys want to ask questions and get to know Karen more, and we can maybe, figure out ways to, who knows, maybe we can figure this Facebook Live thing out, or who knows, we can maybe try that or something eventually. We'll work on it. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Karen. And check out Karen. It's Karen Page.
I love you guys.
Love you. What is your website, real quick?
KarenPage.com.
KarenPage.com. Check it out. And I think your book was called Table Reads.
No, My Life Across the Table.
Life Across the Table. Sorry about that.
Life.
Yeah, I knew it was something to do with table reading.
It's one of those.
Yeah. What a host I am. What can I say? I give the
You're
wrong
a rock
title
star, girl.
I give the wrong title of the book. Isn't that amazing?
That's okay. You knew it was table something.
I knew it was about a table. Just bring me to the table. I'll eat, whatever. So as always, you were listening to One Non-Blonde, or watching One Non-Blonde. And
love you guys.
Love you too. Like, subscribe, and also stay real. God bless.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye.